one more time. Yes, please stand or rise in body or spirit.
Whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of weeping, lost is now caravan of despair. Come yet again, come.
Let's go on with the service.
Good morning. And welcome, everyone. My name is Heather Norby. My pronouns are she and her, and I am the spiritual life director for this fantastic congregation. My opening words are entitled Tending Our Story, and they were written by Reverend Dr. David Breeden, and Mary will help me. Welcome, children of the cosmos. Welcome to a new story, not of a lost Eden and forbidden fruits, but a new story of a vast, variegated garden.
Let's imagine it large, the lushness of forests, the stark beauty of deserts, of broad savannas, the gentle flow of rivers as all beings flourish.
May we each find our place within this garden, within this story.
May we each make space within this story for all who may find truth and comfort here.
A new garden, diverse, interconnected, vibrant, humming with life.
This is our wish for the garden we create together. We join, rooted in our covenant, to flourish in new stories together.
Thank you. Welcome to this Unitarian Universalist sanctuary where we embrace the value of equity, declaring that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. In order to achieve equity in the world, we covenant to use our time, wisdom, attention, and money to build and sustain fully accessible and inclusive communities. Today's service offers windows through time that will help us gain perspective and reflect upon gender equity and inclusivity in hopes of achieving a diverse, vibrant, and interconnected garden right here in the world we live in now. So, of course, in order to build community, we need love and connection, and that will lead to spiritual transformation. This is your community, and so we ask that you please be an active part of it by joining us in the following activities and events. This Wednesday, we have a worship committee meeting at 5 o'clock here in the sanctuary. You are all welcome to join and share your ideas for the coming month's worship and programming. And then after that, at 6:30 p.m., we have dinner worship, in which the conversation is the sermon, and we will be exploring the practice of inclusion. I usually make rice, and then people bring things to put with that rice to share with one another, and we have great conversation, and so you are all welcome to join us in that. This Friday is First Friday, and Vaisel always needs help at the tent. Vaisel, raise your hand, please. If you would like to volunteer for First Friday, please see Vaisel after the service. Of course, you can also just show up and be there and talk to people about Unitarian Universalism. And Tim would like to form small groups called chalice circles once again. Where are you, Tim? Raise your hand. If you are interested in being in a small group in a chalice circle, please see Tim after the service, and he can give you more information about that. Yes? Oh, he forgot he left it at home. Well, you can talk to him anyway, and maybe he'll remember next week. So I have heard through my Interfaith Coalition grapevine that the NAACP is planning a commemorative march in Lakeland in honor of the 60th anniversary of the Bloody Sunday March in Selma, Alabama, plus the march from Selma to Montgomery that led to the passage of the 1965 Voting Rights Act. So this march is tentatively scheduled for Sunday, March 9th at 1 p.m. So I will, of course, have more details for all of you, but they are inviting us all to come out to this march. So we would, of course, leave right after the worship service. That means we'd have to reschedule the board meeting, sorry, and go join this important commemorative march. But I'll keep you updated on that when I get more details.
Heather,
Yes.
could you repeat the date and the
March 9th at 1 p.m. It's a Sunday, yes. Well, thank you to everyone who has come together this morning to support us in doing this worship service. I appreciate everybody's hand in it. There's a lot of people that do the work that goes into just 1 hour a week. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, there's a social justice meeting. Thank you, hold on. And thank you to our tech team also. Yes, and today after service, there is a social justice committee meeting, and Sherry has some very exciting things for us to discuss. I'm looking forward to it. So please join us. After you have some snacks, then come back in here and join us for a social justice conversation. And of course, check the back of your order of service and our e-newsletter, which Marcia publishes every Monday just after noon, for more information. Now, Mary, let us create our sacred space by lighting our chalice.
So I'm Mary Saint-Denis. I am serving as worship associate, and my pronouns are she and her. Sage, would you do us the honor of lighting our chalice today? We light this chalice with the words of this Indian proverb celebrating women. Woman is the creator of the universe. The universe is her form. Woman is the foundation of the world. There is no prayer equal to a woman. There is not, nor has ever been, nor will there be any yoga to compare with a woman, no mystical formula nor asceticism to match a woman. Please rise in body or spirit and let us sing hymn number 123, Spirit of Life.
Well, this is the moment when we invite our children and the young of heart forward for a message for all ages. Sage is going to come up and keep me company. All right.
Everybody says I'm childish, so.
Well, and Jerry too. So what's today?
Sunday. Groundhog Day.
Oh, it is.
Anything else?
National Tater Tot Day.
Son's birthday? Okay. Your mother-in-law's birthday, all right. What else?
National Tater Tot Day.
National Tater Tot Day, okay.
That's very important. That's very important.
Well, it's also, oh, Helen? It might be Imbolc, yeah. It's Imbolc's about this time, right?
Imbolc is typically first and or second. So
First and or second of February, so happy Imbolc. And Imbolc is midwinter. It is a midwinter celebration. It also has become St. Bridget's Day and Candlemas. It all kind of happens around this time, along with the Lunar New Year and the Spring Festival, right? Yeah, in Taiwan or China or yes? All over Asia, thank you. But today we're going to talk about Imbolc. And do you know the goddess that is celebrated during Imbolc? Bridget. Bridget, Breed, Bride. I say Bridget. Someone else said Brigid. I like Bridget. So I have this beautiful book that Mary brought in today. Luna, Moon, Hare. And so this rabbit here goes on this journey throughout the year and experiences all of the quarter and cross-quarter holidays that are celebrated in our pagan tradition. And so I'm going to find Imbolc. Oops, right here. So of course we can see it's wintry, yes, but what's happening here? Flowers are starting to push through the snow, right? Yeah. We don't have snow in Florida, and the weather's been quite nice. But, yeah. We had snow. We did have snow in Tallahassee. Yeah, I experienced that. It was more like ice, but, yeah, it stuck. So it's cold, but the light is starting to return, and we know it's going to warm up. And so this hare, Luna, goes on this journey. And during Imbolc, she gets carried by a swan, and she goes into a field, and she meets a beautiful maiden. I'm going to read to you now. The maiden is singing to a cow as it suckles its calf. Such a sweet song. As Luna approaches, the young woman turns to her and beams a smile that seems to fill Luna with joy. Welcome, my little friend. I am Bridget. You have journeyed well and have arrived at Imbolc. This is the time when the earth is beginning to stir after her winter sleep. Deep in the ground, seeds are pushing out roots and shoots. Tiny buds appear on branches that had seemed to be dead. Snowdrops thrust up bravely through the cold ground and nod their promises of spring to the world. A shiver runs through Luna, for although the sun is shining, it is a crisp, cold day. In the distance, she can hear lambs bleating. The cow moves gently as Bridget gets up and beckons for Luna to follow her. A pile of twigs lay on the ground. Bridget reaches up into the sky and catches a ray of sunlight. She brings it down to the twigs, and instantly a crackling, warming fire springs into life. Your hopes and dreams are like sunbeams, she says. Catch them, believe in them, and they will bring light and growth to the world. Luna glows by the warmth of Bridget's fire. She hears her whisper, hold on to your dreams. They are as precious as the promise of spring. And the wheel turns. With her warm orange aura, Bridget stretches out her arms, and it makes a path to forever. There she is. Isn't that pretty? Bridget is also known as a goddess of fire. So fire is a big component of an Imbolc celebration. And this poem reads, this is the magical way. As you carry the crown through the night and day, the season song will shift and change. All elements will rearrange. My path is neither short nor long, for how can you measure the tune of a song? Dance the path in step with your heart, and by the end, you'll be ready to start. Oh, that's so nice. You got your dreams with you? Thank you. Well, take those dreams. Are you going to stay for service today? You don't know? All right, well, I'll let you and Jerry and Melissa figure that out, but we all wish you the best in following your dreams and know that
The goddess is there for you, and so are we. Bless you. Thank you, Sage. And if you're going to leave, you are welcome, of course, to put stones in the bowl.
There. And I know that the other children, Nick's kids who are not here with us today, celebrated in Bulk yesterday, so perhaps they're all tired out from that celebration. While they're deciding, we'll move on. Thank you. Albert Camus said, "In the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer." Although Punxsutawney Phil did see his shadow this Groundhog's Day. We live in Florida and it's 80 degrees. May we not turn around and go back into our tunnels, but rather ready ourselves in this community and allow for our minds to emerge from a winter slumber. Let us awaken our invincible summers for a world in desperate need of our light, our warmth, and our love. May we find the power to stay awake in the wide open spaces with joy, resisting the shadows that would have us run in fear. Let us, on this midwinter day, discover together the ways we belong in this world, so we may nurture the seeds of our soul and the souls of others in need of awakening. Let us plant the seeds that can emerge and bloom into new kinds of mystery and wonder, blooms of transformation. Today we honor the pagan cross-quarter holy day of Imbolc. Imbolc means in the belly and is a reference to fertility and new beginnings for the harvest season. Imbolc is most closely associated with the Celtic goddess Bridget, who was celebrated as the goddess of poetry, crafts, learning, and prophecy. She was also associated with healing, smithing, fertility, and the force of fire. Those are some many and varied responsibilities. And unlike many Celtic deities who were worshipped on a more local level, Bridget was widely followed by the Irish Celtic people. Bridget was thought to be attended by an all-female priesthood. And every year at midwinter, festivals were thrown in honor of the goddess as a way to encourage the return of springtime. And so legend has it that a sacred fire burned in Kildare, reaching back into pre-Christian times. Scholars suggest that priestesses used to gather on the hill of Kildare to tend their ritual fires while invoking this goddess named Bridget to protect their herds and to provide a fruitful harvest. When St. Bridget, born in the year 451 AD, built her monastery and church in Kildare, she continued the custom of keeping the fire burning. For her and her nuns, the fire represented the new light of Christianity, which reached Ireland's shores early in the 5th century. It survived possibly up to the suppression of the monasteries in the 16th century. But the sacred flame was relit on February 1st, 1993, in the Market Square, Kildare, by Mary Teresa Cullen, the then leader of the Brigidine Sisters. And this was at the opening of a Justice and Peace conference. Since then, the Brigidine Sisters in Kildare have tended the flame. So let us tend the flame in this time when we need the light of hope, and we call upon the triple aspects of the goddess Bridget that lie within all of us and within this community. Let us call upon her as the goddess of inspiration. May we be poetic, creative, prophetic, and artistic. Let us call upon her as the goddess of smithcraft. May we have the power to melt what is hard as steel to create new structures for peace. And let us call upon her as the goddess of healing. May we be healers, finding new medicine, opening up our spiritual paths, allowing new life to grow. Even though we are still in winter, there is new life stirring in the darkness. Fire of the hearth, blaze of the sun, fill us with your shining light. Let us take a few moments and meditate on the light of the candles, thinking about the sacredness of this time, a time in which we are called to heal, a time in which we are called to be inspired for the creation of new ways to connect, love, and transform. We call upon you, Spirit of life and love, today in the manifestation of our diverse images of the goddess, to be with us and keep us strong as we commit ourselves to the shared values of our Unitarian Universalist faith. And as we endeavor to keep them alive, flowing, and flourishing in this world, be with us, Spirit of life and love. Amen. Inclusion isn't about being invited to sit at someone else's table. It's about building a new table together where each person's voice and presence matter equally. That's Russell Lehman. Our ritual of the sharing of joys, concerns, and sorrows embodies the belief that there is power in weaving our lives together so that we may build a better world together, one that honors the experiences of all of us. Thank you. In our Joys and Sorrows book, you are able to write any significant joy or sorrow occurring in your life that you would like for the congregation to know. And today, we have a joy from Mary St. Denis, who is once again grateful to Crystal and UUCL for bringing Twisted Pine here for a fantastic concert. We have a joy from Jacob. My joy is that my husband and I got our own home this week and that I got recognized as a spiritual ambassador at my job. Fantastic. All right. Tom Mead says that 6 UUs, I believe that's 6 UUs from this congregation, started this Black History Month by touring Bartow's African American History Museum, guided by founder Charles Luster. Okay, I think that was Gail's tour, correct? Yeah, awesome. I'm so glad you guys went and did that. Thank you. And so I invite you now to come forward for our ritual of joys and sorrows. You may take whichever stone or stones feels right to you and drop it in the bowl, connecting to others, feeling the power of being together in this community. we celebrate the turning of the wheel of the year, it is also a joy to go in circles ourselves. So, it's true. It's fun. I'm not picking on you. I'm finding the joy. We've been going in circles all morning before you even got here, trust me. Okay. Mary, sharing of abundance.
Here we gather, tucked back in this friendly neighborhood between the beautiful tall pines. We are a community of people who have arrived from many different paths, yet we seek a common goal, to bring more love to a hurting but beautiful world. As Unitarian Universalists, we aspire to reach this goal through our shared values, one of which is the value of generosity. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. We covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, presence, and resources. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. This we can only do together, and your monetary gifts are essential in supporting our endeavors. Our ushers will now pass the plate.
I have a reading for you today, which I just found in this book I ordered, and I can't remember where I came across it, but it has some beautiful poetry, pagan-inspired poetry in it for the seasons. And of course, at the beginning of it is a piece called The Charge of the Goddess, and the book was written by Doreen Valiente. The Charge of the Goddess is considered one of the most important theological texts of Wiccan and neo-pagan traditions. While there are ancient precedents from which the modern versions were inspired, the earliest modern version of The Charge of the Goddess was not written until the 1940s. Doreen Valiente was an English Wiccan who was responsible for writing much of the liturgy for the Gardenian Wiccan tradition during the mid-20th century. And so she rewrote The Charge of the Goddess in the 1950s, and it is commonly read during rituals and understood as instructions from the great goddess to her worshipers. And so I will read it for you today before we have Mary come to speak and to honor many of the gods and goddesses of the past. Listen to the words of the Great Mother, who was of old also called Artemis, Astarte, Diana, Melusine, Aphrodite, Caridwen, Dana, Arantad, Isis, Bride, and by many other names. Whenever ye have, and she wrote it in a sort of old English, so I'll have fun. Whenever ye have need of anything once in a month, and better it be when the moon be full, then ye shall assemble in some secret place and adore the spirit of me, who am queen of all witcheries. There shall ye assemble, ye who are fain to learn all sorcery, yet have not yet won its deepest secrets. To these will I teach things that are yet unknown. And ye shall be free from slavery, and as a sign that ye are really free, ye shall be naked in your rights, and ye shall dance, sing, feast, make music, and love, all in my praise. For mine is the ecstasy of the Spirit, and mine also is joy on earth, for my law is love unto all beings. Keep pure your highest ideal. Strive ever toward it. Let naught stop you or turn you aside. For mine is the secret door which opens upon the land of youth, and mine is the cup of the wine of life, and the cauldron of Caradwen, which is the holy grail of immortality. I am the gracious goddess who gives the gift of joy unto the heart. Upon earth I give the knowledge of the Spirit eternal, and beyond death I give peace and freedom and reunion with those who have gone before. Nor do I demand sacrifice, for behold, I am the mother of all living, and my love is poured out upon the earth. Hear ye the words of the star goddess, she in the dust of whose feet are the hosts of heaven, whose body encircleth the universe. I, who am the beauty of the green earth and the white moon among the stars, and the mystery of the waters and the heart's desire, call unto my soul, arise and come unto me. For I am the soul of nature, who giveth life to the universe. From me all things proceed, and unto me must all things return. And before my face, beloved of gods and mortals, thine inmost divine self shall be unfolded in the rapture of infinite joy. Let my worship be within the heart that rejoiceth, for behold, all acts of love and pleasure are my rituals, and therefore let there be beauty and strength, power and compassion, honor and humility, mirth and reverence within you. And thou who thinkest to seek for me, know thy seeking and yearning shall avail thee not, unless thou know this mystery, that if that which thou seekest thou findest not within thee, thou wilt never find it without thee. For behold, I have been with thee from the beginning, and I am that which is attained at the end of desire. Before we sing this important pagan theology into being, I'd like to introduce you to another historical female icon, Hildegard of Bingen. Bingen, thank you. She was born at around 1098 and lived until 1179. She was a German Benedictine abbess and polymath. Much in the spirit of Bridget, she was a writer, composer, philosopher, mystic, visionary, and a medical writer and healer. She has been considered by a number of scholars to be the founder of scientific natural history in Germany. She founded the monasteries of Rupertsberg in 1150 and Eibingen in 1165. Hildegard wrote theological, botanical, and medicinal works, as well as letters and hymns for liturgy. One of her hymns is included in our gray hymnal, which I know you all have in your hands. It's number 27. So let us rise in body or spirit and sing it now as we remember and honor wisdom from goddess traditions.
I'll play the tune for you one time. Sounds like this.
Shining
equity is one of our shared values. We declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. We covenant to use our time, wisdom, attention, and money to build and sustain fully accessible and inclusive communities. Today, Mary offers us a reflection that will focus our attention on building and sustaining fully accessible and inclusive communities.
Back when humans were largely in hunting and gathering societies, all genders were at a similar level. A recent study of DNA remains in Dorset, England, showed that Iron Age people from about 100 BC to 100 AD were matrilocal. This means that the women stayed with the land with their daughters, and the land continued through the female line. Male DNA from that period showed that the men moved on to different groups. Some early gods were gender fluid. Hapi, the god of flooding of the Nile in Egypt, was generally portrayed as intersex with a beard and breasts. Ishtar, a Mesopotamian goddess, is sometimes represented with a beard as well. In Greek myth, there are several examples of men or gods dressing as women or appearing as women, even for extended periods of time. The prophet Tiresias spent 7 years as a woman, even giving birth to children during that time. Hermaphroditus was the child of Hermes, messenger of the gods, and Aphrodite, the goddess of love. He was born a handsome boy who the water goddess Salmeses fell in love with and prayed to be with together forever. The gods united them, so they were two-natured, both male and female. Omelotl was a dual-natured Aztec god who was both male and female. They represented the idea that the universe contained both dark and light, night and day, peace and war. Religions at this time were usually nature-focused and worshipped multiple gods and goddesses. And since we're talking about gender fluidity, from here on, I'm going to call them all gods because, you know, is there really a necessity to call females and males by different endings? But that's just my own particular thought. People prayed to a specific god for a particular problem. The goddesses, because this is specifically female, were seen as creators and protectors, with them being portrayed as fertility figures very often tied to the rhythms of the natural world. As the goddess is fertile, so is the land rich and bountiful. Women were strong figures, sharing the tasks from daily life, from serving as high-ranking priestesses. During ancient times and societies such as Mesopotamia, Sumeria, Babylonia, Anatolia, Egypt at the start of settled agriculture also had several strong queens. The ability to create life from seemingly nothing was revered, and rightly so. There is a Chinese word, dantian, that translates to elixir field or sea of qi, or simply energy field. There are several dantians in the body, but the lower dantian is the interior space located about 2 inches below the navel, so approximately where the uterus is located. A hymn from Sumeria tells the story that Inanna, a goddess who later became Ishtar, was a virgin but was curious about sex. She asked her brother to bring her to the underworld. where she could taste the fruit of a tree that grows there, and so learn about sex. This story was passed down over centuries and eventually became part of the story of Adam and Eve in the Torah and Old Testament in the 6th century BCE. Things changed a bit, though, as humans moved from hunting and gathering to more and more settled agriculture. Societies became more patriarchal, and the more honored roles became more and more reserved for men. While women were still giving birth, collecting and preparing food, raising children, and creating cloth for the family to wear, this just wasn't considered as important. In ancient Greek mythology, there were still female goddesses, but for the most part, they were playthings of the men, and if they refused or managed to resist, they were often cursed, like Medusa and Clytemnestra. According to Ovid, Medusa was a beautiful maiden, the only mortal of the 3 Gorgon sisters. Her beauty attracted Poseidon, who raped her in the temple of Athena. Athena, furious at the desecration of her temple, transformed Medusa into a monster with hair of snakes and gaze that transformed all who looked at her to stone. Thus began a long theme of violence towards women, but also a tragic and long history of victim blaming and female complicity in the subjugation and abuse of women. With the patriarchy firmly in place in ancient Greece, Medusa's story ends with her being beheaded by the hero Perseus. Robert Graves suggests that the legend of Perseus beheading Medusa actually refers to the Greeks overrunning the goddess's shrines and stripping her priestesses of their Gorgon masks. Continuing the downfall of the feminine, Cassandra, a daughter of the king of Troy, was given the power of prophecy by Apollo, who wanted to sleep with her. When she refused, he changed that gift of prophecy into a curse by making it so that while she would speak true prophecy, she would never be believed, cursing her to the life of seeing the future and never being listened to or believed. Sadly, this curse of never being listened to or believed still follows women and those who identify as anything other than traditional males, who speak truth to power to this day. A very current example is Bishop Reverend Marianne Edgar Buddy, who is being vilified for her sin of empathy. Would there be rage from this many if the bishop had been a man? Yes, indeed, but it would not be so violent, because so many in this country, in this world, consider women as less than. And again, any who are not considered traditional males. Less than what, you may ask? I think it depends on the particular person. Sometimes women are considered less than men, sometimes less than truly human. Some of the goddesses were pulled into the Christian pantheon of saints, one of whom we've been talking about today, Brede, who became Saint Bridget. There's also Saint Lucia, and others who were perhaps goddesses became boogie women in folk tales like Baba Yaga, who may help you if you need help, but she just might eat you and mount your skull on her fence. Just, depends on the day. Baba Yaga to me represents the ultimate wise woman and outsider.
who was vilified as a witch, and for their knowledge and lack of cooperation with the current cultural belief in the superiority of men and the subjugation of women. This is reflected throughout the ages in witch trials and othering those who followed pagan paths. In our modern patriarchal society, forces are trying to grab females by the pussy for our bodies to be controlled. Control over contraception and the right to termination of pregnancy, even when the fetus is non-viable or actually dead in the womb, are being threatened, and our rights are under threat. In contraception, which is considered in our patriarchal society to be the problem of women, the control of our fertility is under the control of white men. If a woman has an IUD implanted, which is a major surgical procedure that involves considerable pain, no painkillers or even relaxants are typically used. Insertion involves forcefully dilating the cervix and inserting the IUD behind the cervix. Doctors, again, typically do not offer pain medication and often do not even warn patients that the procedure may be painful. The pain can be severe and traumatizing. In a study ranking perceived pain on a possible scale of 100, doctors rated the pain the women suffered at about 35 on the 100-point scale. The women experiencing the procedure ranked their pain at 65. So women experienced nearly twice as much pain as the doctors thought. So, after all, just what is a person worth? Are they worth dignity and respect? Whatever their gender identity and whatever their skin color? Is not women's work in clothing, feeding, child rearing, and nurturing worthy enough?
Thank you, Mary, for offering your reflection today. Appreciate that. Again, our value of equity. We declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. We, as Unitarian Universalists, covenant to use our time, wisdom, attention, and money to build and sustain fully accessible and inclusive communities. So after hearing Mary's reflection, we may ask ourselves about power. Who holds it? And how do we use it? How can power help us create a more equitable community? We are mistaken in this culture to think that power is only gained by suppressing it in others so we may rule over them. Power is meant to be shared so that every life can flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. Power is something we all hold when we realize that we are all a part of the interdependent web of life. We realize that power is something we should nurture in one another. So how do we return to an understanding that women and gender-fluid people are sacred beings? How do we return to an understanding of the fluidity of gender so we may allow space for the power and beauty of all? How do we build new ways so that all genders, yes, including men, just in case you think I'm leaving you out because I'm not, men with the powerful voices, help us out. You have that privilege. I'm talking about equity for everyone. How do we attain gender equity in our society? Let us start here in this community with one another. The forces of empire and oligarchy and white supremacy, of Christian nationalism and fascism, all the big fearful things that make us want to run back to our underground tunnels like the groundhog, these forces want us to think that we are disconnected and alone, helpless, weary, and cold, and we are not. We have the power to build communities of love, equity, and transformation. My closing words are a poem called Candlemas by, again, Doreen Valiente. Sun and fire warm the earth at old Candlemas returning. Through the long night see it shine, magic in the thin flames burning. In the clouded vault of heaven, jeweled stars that sparkle clear dance in their eternal measure through the changes of the year. Snowdrops through the frozen mold force a green leaf blade again, while above the branches bare, shake in freezing wind and rain. Crouched upon the cottage floor, see the witch that eyes the flames, whispering as the candles burn, naming age-old pagan names. Primal powers of death and life, called on by her invocation, viewless presences draw near as she weaves the incantation. Nodding in the witch's cord, the immortal spells that bind, through the winter and the dark, love to life and hope to mind. Let us sing these age-old sentiments of love and hope into being together now with a song called What's So Funny About Peace, Love, and Understanding? Are the lyrics going to be up there? Perhaps not. We'll sing it to you. But you can join in when you know the chorus.
This is a Nicola song, also Elvis Costello did it, so we'll see if you know it here. We'll take it a little slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. As I walk through this wicked world, searching for
thank you all for working so hard on that song this morning in the spirit of learning, right? Mary, would you extinguish our chalice? Or do you want to read the words and I'll extinguish the chalice?
I'll read the words.
Okay. I told y'all we've been running in circles.
Purest of flexibility.
That's right.
We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world.